Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When you claim, or let's say you claim, this is unacceptable. What does that mean? That you would not accept whatever the other person is about to do, right? Or this particular thing you will not accept. And then if you don't accept, what would you do? What are the consequences? Because obviously you can't control everything. So let's say you tell your wife, well, if you cheat on me, that's going to be unacceptable. Okay, you don't accept it. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to smack her? Are you going to divorce her? Are you going to leave? What are you going to do? If you don't do anything, you can't do anything. Remember, that's not within your power, you know. So it's just unacceptable for you. What are you going to do? How far will you go? What kind of decisions will you take if that happens? So here we have an article coming from Ukrainska Pravda where the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, claims that Russia's victory is unacceptable. Europe must continue to support Ukraine even without US. So that means that you will go until your life is endangered. Since it's unacceptable, you will not accept that. That means you're going to go all the way. Now, why would the French nation want to go all the way? Because you want that. Did you ask them? So this is the way I think the whole garbage in Ukraine is. There are some people out there, everything happens out there with our sacrifice. So everything happens over there between those guys, where those guys over there would sacrifice us, our countries, our children, our future for their own saga and their own profits, their own personal fight against someone else. I guarantee you that if you ask the French, okay, what did Russia do to you? What did a Russian do to you ever, directly? If you would meet a person and you would not know that person is Russian, and you just interact and say, do you think you're gonna pick up that you got oh, I hate this person, I don't know why, and then oh, it's a Russian, oh, that's why I felt it. How do you think that people follow these guys' orders to go and fight against Russia? I'm just giving Russia, I can give you something else. The same thing is true for the Russians versus others, right? So I'm just, in this case, is France. The French people, what do you have, you personally have with Russia? Everything you got is what the mass media told you. Maybe you got something from your history, even though if you look in the history, you kind of try to fuck them, not they fuck you. So even there, why you take the war in Crimea, which is even later than Napoleonic Wars? So you got strike two. You got strike two. It's true that Russia, together with England, your ally, tried to fuck you during Napoleonic Wars, but you're friends with England. How come? So the English people changed somehow? What's changed? Interest. Whose interest? Your interest? Your interest is this: to go to work, have a job, have opportunity, have cheap food, have a vacation, make sure your children are okay, and have a future. This is your life. If you find out that tomorrow Russia is there or is not there, you wouldn't even care. For real. For real. All this is made up. This kind of hatred between nations, populations, is made up, decided by the leaders. Some leaders did not like the other leaders, and those leaders have some interest somewhere. They do not necessarily coincide with the nation, their nation they oppress or represent, however you want to look at it. So Macron says Russia's victory is unacceptable. Here he is. Europe must continue to support Ukraine even without US. Why Europe? Why just you? Why do you say Europe? You talk in the name of every person in Europe, Europe overall in its entirety. Because of something that I think these guys have with those guys. And he speaks in our name. This weasel, let me show you his face right there, the little rat. Weasel. Think about it, my friends. We are fighting their wars. Their wars. 4, 5 years ago, these guys were all in a room, taking pictures with one another, shaking hands and all that. And all of a sudden, they don't like it because those guys are bad, we are good. Sometimes it gets to a point where you think, this is just it's a crime. It's a crime perpetrated by those guys with our blood. And the sooner we wake up and we realize what's going on, we're going to hate other people that we don't know almost anything about. Almost anything about. You know about Putin and whatever the media vomits on us. And everything is, not everything, this is created by some interests. And those interests are not really, they don't coincide with our interests. French President Emmanuel Macron stated that Russia's victory in Ukraine is unacceptable for Europe, and that European countries should be prepared to support Ukraine as much as necessary, even if the United States does not participate. Do you understand what's going on here? This is like track and field, where you pass the baton from one to another. The Europeans take it. It's unbelievable. It's like the Americans get you in a fight and then they move away and they let you destroy yourselves with someone that if you think clearly, you have nothing against. 3 years ago, you were okay with the Russians. In 2018, you were okay with Putin. Now it's all bad. Why? Because Ukraine, they know who's behind. I can't believe that Macron doesn't know the red line and who pushed the whole thing. He knows it, and he tells it's unacceptable. That's a crime. People die for that, for his statements. He's going to push people to death. And I'm quoting Macron. First, we will have to be ready to act, defend and support Ukraine. Whatever happens, that means anything that happens. And whatever US's decision will be. Who is this guy pledging allegiance to? Why should I, let's say I'm a French guy, why should I say yes, everything for you to fight Russia? Remember Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, when he was talking about the Viet Cong, he said, I'm not going to fight with the Viet Cong. Viet Cong never did anything to me. But these guys did, not to him, but anyway, he technically. So the same, what did the Russians do to you? These guys are telling you that they did to Ukraine. I mean, things start from there, not from the, this level we just used. I'd say we are lucky to have such a partner, such an ally, the United States. But very clearly, we have to be lucid of the fact that Ukraine is part of the European continent. So is Russia. And whatever the U.S. will decide, we have to take the right and bold decision to support Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. Why not the Russian people? Do you think I'm crazy? Why don't you support the Russian peoples against the Americans? Why don't you support the Russian society against the woke ideology? About that perversion. Why don't you do that, Macron? I think that's more dangerous. Why don't you look at the Russians and their immigration system and your garbage immigration? You don't have a nation. French, I don't know what kind of nation France is. It hasn't been for a while. I mean, with the immigration, you're way ahead out there. Way ahead. I'm waiting. Pretty soon, if I look at the French government, it doesn't represent the people that actually rules. And again, look at the Le Bleu. Look at the team, a football team. Okay? For me, that's a representation of France. If there would be a child, let's say 17, and looks at the French football team, and look at them and say, okay, these are the French. If that's all he watches about France, that's all he's going to know about France. You're going to get to that one. But you tell me it's a European. That's what European? What are you talking about European? Who's European? What's European? What are you talking about? We Europeans. Are you crazy? Just have a walk through Paris. You know what? As I always say, get Napoleon out of his Hotel d'Invalides. Get him out and walk with him a little bit in the streets of Paris. And he would not recognize that's France and his French nation. Do the same thing in London if you want. Take Churchill out or some other guys. And they fought among themselves. And whatever the US decide, we'll have to take now. And we have to follow the line in the current strategy, which is the impossible for all of us to see Russia winning this war, because there is no more framework and security architecture on our continent if there is Russian victory. So Ukraine was the kingpin of Europe security, you telling me? Remember, before this, they didn't even know about Ukraine. You didn't know about Ukrainian friends. Now they tell you if that falls, the whole security architecture of Europe will fall. No, it will not. It will not. It's just they want to rile up you so you can support their agenda. That doesn't coincide with yours. Remember, they're going to use your blood, not their blood. No, your blood. They're not like the old, let's get the emperor, get Napoleon with his troops over there, on the battlefield. No, he's not there. This guy is far away from the battle. And you're going to be over there with a Grande Armée, okay? Security, if there is a Russian victory, what is the future of our eastern flank? Nothing. How about you going to be an ally with Russia? Can you think about that? Oh, no, why? Al Capone will not allow us. What is the future of a whole Europe? Peace. But you have to get rid of your boss, United States of America. What is the future of a Caucasus? That's none of your business. That's what your thing in Paris. They didn't say anything about, hey, what the fuck is going on in Paris, Macron? What's up with your fucking football team, Macron? That's our problem. And the same in the Caucasus. None of your business. I know you want to start shit in the Caucasus. Back off. Spheres of influence. These guys talk with Russia like Russia is Albania or Romania. They all have spheres of influence and interests that everyone has to respect. But Russia, how come and why? Is Russia a little bit more retarded or something? They don't look like, they don't act like. What is the future of Central Asia? Now you ask these questions? If the result of such international involvement will be a victory of Russia, well, this is the way it is. You guys thought that Russia will not react in Ukraine. And if they would react, you thought that Russia is going to stop quickly. And they didn't. They didn't collapse. It didn't collapse. Moreover, Russia decided to create problems for you, friends, in Africa. They kicked you out. What were you doing in Africa? You talk about Caucasus? What the fuck were you doing in Africa? In Niger, for instance, Niger. Oh, you were sucking something for your nuclear power plants? Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, no, you're fighting terrorism. Shut the fuck up, like we're tards. And that's a little bit that we know about this. What's going on in Caucasus? What's going on in Africa? Get your fucking troops back. Now, it's not even a business to tell me, as a French man, what to do with my interest. Well, the same thing over there. Well, we're going to fight you, Russia. Hey, everybody, go and fight Russia. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to tell you what to do. You have to understand, at one point, if you don't know it so far yet, that's them against us, and they use us. We are the hamsters on a spinning wheel. We are the mice. Without us running like idiots on that spinning wheel, which is our lives, our work, our spending, our investing in our children, in their future, in their society, without that, they will not be over there. But they are over there, and they have a mass media to make sure that we get, like this. And they got an oppressive apparatus, meaning the police and security force, that is people of us, from us, that will kick us in the teeth when they say so. And they don't understand they're going to fight against us because they're going to fight against their parents, their own interests. That's how it works. That's the buffer, the security, the apparatus, the people, law and order. They perverted that too. They use it for their own interests, like the army. United States, these guys took over our army to use it as a private bodyguard, to promote their interest and settle scores with certain individuals in other countries. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.